takeaway for you from all of this?
I got thick skin, so all the noise around fans and stuff like that really doesn't bother me. I think most of y'all know that. I've been through enough in my leadership roles to deal with stuff. I always try to filter that out. I've got a great crap detector in business and in life, and I try to apply it here. And I'm looking for ways to add value. I felt like maybe one thing I learned from private equity is you're always on a financial fast break to get things done and give a great return. I felt that from the day I was here. I carried a big weight on my shoulders to get as much done as I could, not knowing how long I would stay. So I think that hopefully that effort shows in a lot of ways for the fans, but certainly for the management team I leave behind.
Would your decision to resign been the same had you known that Neely was leaving?
It would have probably impacted it.
Do you feel they had an obligation to tell you more?
I can't speak for why they didn't notify me.
You referenced earlier about the commitment to sports at Florida State, the big picture things. Do you feel like that's lacking here, or there's a different take on where sports is or is going?
I think the leadership of this university needs to be clear where athletics is in the campus mission.
Vince, what was it like to work with Neely? It seems like that relationship kind of splintered over time.
No, I mean, look, I've got respect for a lot of things she did, and other things. You're in leadership, sometimes in management, you're going to agree to disagree on things. And I think that certainly we didn't agree on everything, but you know, it is where it is at this point.
Where do you think sports should be in the picture of Louisville for the future?
Well, I think the brand of Louisville is important. It always has been. You know, where we've been historically, nationally, and what it's done for attracting student athletes and students alike. And I hear it all the time. You know, you get a manager for the baseball team who tells me he came here because of Lamar Jackson. We know the impact when we're out there, and I know the impact that the brand, the marketing of the brand occurs primarily from the athletic department. The billboards, the signage, the things you see around town. When we have 3 football games that are on national TV unopposed, I don't know how you value the advertising and media on that when there's no other schools competing against us when we're playing a Central Florida or a Duke or Ole Miss in one season. And I think that we've been able to have a lot of that over the years, even with the advent of cable. Back when Denny was here, we were on national TV on Saturdays, but I think we've done a good job thinking about what that brand means when we are on national TV, and you guys can see the investment we've made through Lottie and the way we've done things to build this brand. Because I've said all along, we got to carry the university's brand when we're talking about athletics, and you know, that I know there's a branding opportunity going on campus. I'm not sure how that'll be rolled out or fulfilled.
Did you ever consider firing Scott? And if so, did you ever in any way sort of broach other possible replacements, and were you interfered with in doing it?
I mean, maybe during a few games, no. No, in seriousness, I've always had a long-term view of things, and I've said this, it would have gone against what I believe today, that I think coaches coming into programs like this, 4 years, you got a lot to do, and just, I don't want to harp on where we were, but I knew this was probably going to be a 4-year thing for him. I was clear with him on that. It became, you know, it's a challenge when you have some games that you lose close ones, or certainly get beat by your rival in the way we did. But I still, after that 3 years, assessing where we are, where the talent is, what he was doing to redshirt, to bring things along. You know, we got into a lot of issues over a 3-hour meeting, but I would tell you, we talked about him along the way too, and still feel like he's ready to take that next step, and we need it. So is there thoughts that cross your mind when you're looking at the way things are going? I would deny that any AD gets emotional, has to think about it. You always got to think about both sides of the ledger and weigh it out. But I think what I explained here, talking about where we are as an athletic department, we're in really good shape. We're in better shape with him, and I think we'll see better results next year.
Vince, there was so much chatter from the end of the Kentucky game until that next Saturday or Friday night or whatever. Would Scott, his father passed away, would that have impacted when that meeting was that could have alleviated that chatter along the way? You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I mean, I typically did end-of-year meetings with all coaches. It was just my thing, and we'd sit down and they knew the agenda. We'd talk about recruiting, resources, their staff, their contract, just all those things that we were doing. I had a very simple agenda. We want to hit all those topics with each coach. whether it's John Michael or whether it's Scott Satterfield. So, no, it's unfortunate. We knew he was dealing with this. I mean, he went to see his father a handful of times during the season. We tried to do it during the bye week. That's why we didn't go up to do the Lamar thing live in Baltimore. We did it by video because I wanted him to be with his family, his mom and his brother as much as his dad and his family health. But, the schedule worked out. We were in Raleigh a couple times. He got to go over there when we played Wake Forest. So he snuck over there and got to visit. He was balancing that during the year, but I think he stayed incredibly focused on the team.
From the time you put the letter in the certified mail, and then you realized Neely was resigning, did you reach out to Mary Nixon or anyone else on the board to maybe reconsider your resignation at that point?
I did not. At that point, not hearing from anyone, I did not.
Vince, you mentioned if you knew Neely was leaving, that might have made you reconsider. Was your relationship with Neely the main part of you thinking about leaving Louisville or going into private business or even considering Florida State?
No, I think there was just a lot of things going on at that time. I go back in the summer. I met with Mary and Neely the first week of July and expressed some of my thoughts about where we were and where we should go. Maybe just over the coming months, those thoughts, certainly were in the back of my mind as to what was next for me. It's difficult when you love this place like I do and think about what your exit plan is going to be. There's no easy exit. There wasn't here either, and that's the hard part is, you're going to take some level of criticism and some scrutiny. Was it all Neely? You're trying to point to one thing. It wasn't all Neely. Neely and I enjoyed some good times as well, but I think that I was thinking about what I thought was best for me and my family at that time and where I was, and what all that we had going on and all the challenges, not to make this too hyperbolic, but it was like dog years being in this role the last 4+ years. I worked a lot of hours, a lot of weekends, a lot of nights, a lot of initiatives, a lot of fundraising, all that if I listed out accomplishments to bore you guys on behalf of the staff, it was exhausting. And that's where you just kind of say, like, what do you want to do next? And next was to plan a family vacation for me.
So if they had offered you an extension, would you go on regardless?
At that point, I think I was gone.
I think Louisville is at a crossroads where sports is going to be in the big picture, and was that part of the reason that you thought your time might be ready to leave?
Well, I think, I don't know that's in the crossroads. I think it's in a really good spot. I do. I think that I didn't have to run across campus to get decisions made. I felt like I was in a position to make my decisions and had authority to make those decisions. I knew what we were dealing with and what I would deal with. I also, got exposure to a lot of things on campus, being on a number of committees across campus. But I was also cognizant of what was happening in the ACC and in the national limelight of like where things are going. You can see it today with Florida State and Miami, and it's going to be a big, what do you do going forward? College athletics has changed dramatically right in front of us right now, and I don't know that you can. There's going to be. There's the innovators and the fast followers, but in this one, you kind of try to figure out and be in between. I'm not sure you want to burn a lot of capital trying to be totally innovative, but you better be close on the heels of what's happening, or certainly in those meetings. And I think we have been. I'd like to believe that my relationship with Jim Phillips and others across the country, and the reason that Jack Swarbrick or Dan Radakovich or Mark Harlan, Utah, and others are calling, wanting to say, hey, come help me with some stuff, is because Louisville's business model is attractive to other schools, and what we did here was attractive to Florida State.
Because you said you didn't hear from anybody on the board, you saying that kind of lets you know where you stood? Because
I think it's one of the things. I mean, it's just human nature, right? I'm not trying to pick on the board at all in my comments. Somebody else has to answer to that. Maybe it's the right time for them to have somebody in this role, but it's a good time for the board to Fred's question, it's hard for me to answer because it's one that I think the university needs to think about. How do they value athletics and how they value the athletic director position?
Vince, you lived the world as a donor. Then for 4 years, you dealt with those donors. Where's the disconnect? Because, there has been things out there.
I don't think there is one.
That's what I mean. Do you know where it comes? I would say, is it just
the courier?
Is it just
Sorry,
chatter?
Cameron, but look, you want to get into one-sided tabloid articles, write them all you want. It's not true. Call these individuals who have made their commitments to us and talk to them. Yes, there's going to be individuals who want to win games that are big donors that are important to this university. I'm not saying they're not. They are important. We all are. I am. But I think that, you know, this is a scenario that I don't hear. I heard it when I got here, and there was immediate disconnect. We lost 3,500 season ticket holders in basketball, and some donors disappeared. And then over time, I think as people saw what we're doing, and we're running I think a classy operation the way we're doing it, working with integrity, high road, making every tough decision to relate it to staff and individuals and all that in a way that I think is in the best interest of the university. That's why people are the supporters that have stayed behind us and are going to be with us going forward. They've dug in, like I asked on day one when I took this job. And I'm hopeful some of those will come back, but you can't arm twist people into this. You just got to go do your thing and let things fall. And I felt like we were doing a good job running this department, being great stewards of the athletic mission.
When you got thrust into this job, it was difficult. And you mentioned the long hours and that. Will it be more difficult now that you're leaving it because of the connections you've made, like you said, with the student athletes and the things?
Well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still staying in touch with them. I mean, if I showed you, well, I left my phone in the car, but if I showed you a text and told you my conversations are continuing with the staff, as you can hear. I talked to 4 of my former direct reports this morning, helping on issues. Talked to a big donor today about another donation that I think will be helpful for them to consider related to baseball. And I called Michael Dew to say, I'm going to carry this one to the finish line for you. And he thought it was a cool idea that I came up with. I'm still going to be here and support the school. That's not changing. There's not like this weird notion that I've like pulled the curtain. Only on reporting to the office every day, but not my emotion or need or want to help the university.
Chris, when you made the decision, Vince, I'm sorry, there's a lot of stuff
It's
going
okay.
on. Vince, when you made the
It's okay,
decision
Kevin.
to suspend Chris Mack for 6 games, you said ultimately it was solely your decision. Was it really solely your decision?
Well, it's a collaborative one you certainly present, right? That's a decision at a high level that, again, I was trying to make a decision that I thought was in the best interest of the university as much as our basketball program. And I think when you have to weigh a lot of things out, which I did. And I communicated those to Chris as well about where we are and expectations of the program. I go back to what happened with Dino, and it's really unfortunate. It is. But we handled that in the same way we've handled every single thing. The integrity we brought here was challenged, but the way you handle it is also meaningful. Chris notified us right away that day. We met in my basement that night. We addressed it with the NCAA right as the office opened the next morning. We got authorities involved right as they opened the next morning. We didn't run from stuff. We tried to handle it the best way we thought we should at that time. And that's not easy. It probably wouldn't happen at every university.
Was the suspension a compromised position, and was there pressure to fire Chris Mack over that?
I can't speak to where everyone was, at a board level. I just know where I was in thinking that he needed to be our head coach going forward. And while disappointed in what's alleged, still feel like Chris is a terrific coach, terrific to the players, and certainly we were in agreement on the staff changes that were made at the time. And unfortunately, there was some bitterness that came out of that during those meetings.
I was thinking about the politics of the job. Your vision of what this should be, do you feel like you were losing support to go where you wanted to go with this program?
I don't think so. We put together a master plan. I mean, I've got a master plan for facilities that included campus and athletics. I decided to just go ahead and take it on, and it's there, it's done. I've showed it to a lot of the leadership of this university, including filling out that Soleil lot, all the options you could have. I think there's some really cool things still to happen on Floyd Street, particularly in that lot, whether it's you got a lot of options with natatorium, sports complex, bring the academics and training table together down the street where the athletes want to be. There's a lot of cool things that are available to what Josh and the team and leadership wants to do from here.
You were in those meetings, you said, for the last 4 years with recruits basketball. Are they hamstrung because of the NCAA as far as recruiting is concerned, in your opinion?
I think, here's the way I would size it up. The answer is yes. You're certainly hamstrung. To what degree you gotta sort out. And I know I've been questioning why is Auburn and LSU, Kansas still able to get some of these guys or produce. They have the same coach. You can speculate if Rick was still here or not, where would we be? But those three schools still have the same coach in place. We don't. We had a dramatic shift. It was fracturing to the program, to our fan base and our donors at that time. We endured things that they haven't. And that made it even more challenging on Chris in my mind.